when you put dishonest, militant trans propaganda on the airwaves, that's going to do and is doing immeasurable harm to thousands of kids, then yeah, you should be fired for that.
Okay, so that is Matt Walsh saying that there is propaganda, dishonest, militant, pro-trans propaganda. And he's talking about Fox News there. He thinks people should lose their jobs, so it must be serious. Let's give you a little taste of what got him so angry.
14-year-old Ryland Whittington is a typical Southern California teenager. And the Whittingtons, along with mom Hillary, dad Jeff, and sister Brinley, are a typical family. The only difference, though, in Ryland's eyes, is what this family can mean to the tens of thousands of kids under 18 who identify as transgender.
We put our story out there so people could see that there's another family out there that is going through what we're going through, or there's another family who's proud of who they are.
Before Ryland could even speak, he managed to tell his parents that he is a boy.
I could just see that it wasn't him trying to be a brat. It was painful. It was truly painful for him to have to wear feminine clothing and for us constantly telling him that you're a girl.
That is the radical, dangerous, militant propaganda from Fox News as part of their America Together LGBTQ plus Pride Month, which I'm amazed that they have, but they do, and they did that. It was just acknowledging the experience of this family, of Ryland specifically, trying to make maybe people who are experiencing this, whether they're the individuals or the families, feel less ostracized, less hated by your own society. That's all they did, and that's all it took for Matt Walsh to absolutely lose it in not just video, and we're gonna go to more of his video in a second, but he had this Twitter thread about how Fox is turning on him. It ruins a relationship with him. We have to call this evil lunacy out wherever we see it. Evil lunacy, just show the family. And it wasn't just him, by the way. Ben Shapiro tweeted, "This would be absolute despicable, insane lunacy if I saw it on CNN or MSNBC. To see it on Fox News is a complete betrayal of anything remotely resembling conservatism or decency." Maybe there was a section that was hardcore pornography. I don't know. All I saw was a happy, loving family. Yasmin, what did you think?
Yeah, it must be pretty jarring for the viewers of Fox News to see that there are a million different ways that families can be families, and so many different ways that people can choose to live their lives. And that's really what we're fighting against here, right? On Fox News, they call themselves conservatives, but I think somebody in the chat bot mentioned that they're not really conservative, they're regressive, right? They're trying to go backwards to something. They're not trying to even preserve what we currently have. They're trying to go back to the 50s, when you had white families with a dad and a mom and 2.5 kids or whatever the stat was, right? And that's not the reality for most Americans, I would say. Most people do not live in families that look like that. And we're not going to, and we don't want to, and we shouldn't have to, because it's my family, it's our lives, we can do whatever we want. So the fact that it's being highlighted is just showing that this is America. And Fox News is actively, consistently trying to push this idea that that's not America. America is actually this over here, which is really just a very, very small subset of what America is.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. I want to give you a little bit more. We showed you that teaser of him calling for people to literally lose their jobs over what you saw. Here's more on that.
Nobody at Fox has explained how this toxic nonsense ended up on the airwaves. I know for a fact that many of the people who work at Fox do not agree with this, do not want to be associated with it. But a decision was made by somebody to do this report and air it. All the parties involved should explain themselves, and then they should be fired also. Oh, are you promoting cancel culture? You want to cancel these people? Absolutely, I want to cancel them. Yes. They should be fired for sure. Named, shamed, and fired.
Okay, so to be clear, he acknowledges that the couple of years that the right has spent pretending that cancel culture on the left is a problem and they would never do it. He acknowledges that, no, I want people to be fired when they say things that I don't like politically. He's not going to actually internalize that or question why it is that he had been presenting it as a thing that was about the left. They just move on, and his viewers will too. So don't expect any evolution on that. He has to be performatively freaked out about this. And when I say that, by the way, I want to be clear about what I'm saying and what I'm not saying. I am not saying that Matt Walsh is not a pathetic little weenie who actually has an issue with people who have different orientations or identities than his own. He definitely is small enough and weak enough to actually hold those pathetic positions. He also, though, is paid to talk about it a lot and paid to pretend to be even weaker and more ignorant and close-minded than he actually is. This is all a performance. Let's be clear about that. It's a dangerous one. It's a damaging one that we have to counter. But Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, all of them do not care about this nearly as much as they pretend to. They just know that they can whip their base into a frenzy to attack people like Ryland and his family. That's all that they're trying to do. And they're putting money into it to make money. I want you to take a look at this. Parker Malloy had a breakdown of money that was spent on advertising one of Matt Walsh's attacks against the trans community. Matt Walsh, through him, the Daily Wire spent over $2 million, and the Daily Wire also spent $1.1 million as well. And you can see she breaks down all the different ads that they did. It was mostly about this attacking the anti-trans stuff. This is, they're not putting like $3 million into advertising this because they legitimately want to know what a woman is or whatever, and they just want to know. No, this is, they believe they've struck gold. They will make money off of this, and that they will get people to focus on this rather than anything else having to do with politics. Why it is that they'll never own a home, can't afford to go to college, won't be able to retire, why their wages are constantly losing ground against inflation. All those actual core concerns that politics are supposed to be about, they would prefer that it not be, because then taxes might have to go up. And so they will just send their followers after the trans community, Yasmin. That's what they're doing. They're spending millions of dollars for it.
Yeah, that's like what we were talking about earlier in the debate between Bernie and Lindsey Graham. Is the Republican platform is nearly non-existent, right? At least not in any sort of way that the average American public person would accept it, right? Because it doesn't help the average American public person, right? It doesn't benefit anyone to vote for that party anymore, right? Maybe back in the day, maybe they had a platform that was worth voting for, maybe if you believed in their economics or whatever, but that's not the case anymore, right? And it's like what Bernie said, is we're heading towards an oligarchy, and none of us are in that club. None of us are rich enough to be one of those oligarchs, right? And they're making it abundantly clear that we are not those people and we will not be those people. So instead, they just use fear and they use otherism, and they just, try to enrage their base, because you have to vote for the GOP now. Otherwise, we'll just have transgender people running around if the Democrats have their way, which would apparently be the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, 100%. My final point before we move on, because I saw also there's a chart of Daily Wire ad spending, and this was an outlier. They did spend more that was 1 month, by the way, the $3 million. That's more than they normally spend, but they normally spend hundreds of thousands of dollars every single week. So when we say that these people were just created in a lab by billionaires and then inflicted on us, this is what we mean. Do you think any progressive news outlet has $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 in advertising a week being spent on them? Do you think the Damage Report has had $5,000 in total advertising in the years that we've existed? No, because where would that money come from? We don't have any billionaire backing us. Like when you watch a Matt Walsh or a Michael Knowles or a Dave Rubin and say, these people are horrible, and I don't just mean that they're terrible people, which they are, but they're not interesting, they're not clever, they're not funny, they're not knowledgeable. Why do they have the audiences that they do? I don't know, you can buy an audience if you're willing to spend $1 million every month for literally years. Nobody, Anna doesn't have that kind of advertising. The Majority Report's not getting hundreds of thousands of dollars of advertising. What do you, you need to understand this about independent media, which people classify Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh as. There ain't nothing independent about millions of dollars of advertising money being spent on you.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.